Good afternoon. I'm Rob Gurley with Centerline Digital, and today's webinar is on getting started with marketing automation. During today's webinar, we'll be covering a number of topics. We'll be going through what marketing automation is and is not. I'll tell you why you should care about marketing automation and the advances in marketing technology. I'll show you what to look for in a marketing automation platform and with a vendor. I'll help you design programs for marketing and sales alignment and to ease friction within your organization. And I'll show you how to use marketing automation to add to your content marketing strategy and multiply your own efforts. So, a little background on myself. I'm Centerline's content strategist / technologist. That places me in a role where day to day I deal with a lot of marketing automation systems and CRM systems. I'm a Marketo expert, but I've also used Pardot, Eloqua, and a number of other marketing automation platforms and CRM systems. I view marketing from a revenue perspective. My background in sales, more so than my background in other marketing disciplines, leads me to believe that marketing can be a source of revenue in an organization and not just a cost center. I think that marketing has to demonstrate accountability to the organization that it's within, and I think marketing automation really helps us do that. Here's some statistics that I found on marketing automation that really should underscore how important it could be in your organization. Marketing automation is used by upwards of 64% of large B2B and B2C companies to generate leads and to improve their general content marketing. More than 78% of companies allocate at least 10% of their total marketing budgets to technology, including marketing automation platforms, email automation systems, analytics platforms, data visualizers, and some of the other systems that marketers are now using on their day-to-day marketing jobs. More than 67% of all companies have trained their salespeople on their marketing automation platforms as well. This is really important because it shows how marketing is starting to interface with sales within organizations and how marketing is starting to empower salespeople to participate in the conversations that they have with their customers. And finally, only 1% of companies abandon their marketing automation platforms after 2 years. That means that 99% of companies that start using marketing automation find that marketing automation helps their organization enough to justify the cost. So I know when you're looking out there at marketing automation platforms and the price tag is a little bit of a sticker shock, you'll be happy to know that very few companies drop their marketing automation system after they've been using them for some time. Marketing is in transition. Marketing technology has continued to get more and more sophisticated, but marketers haven't really kept up with the advancements in technology and software platforms. What's really interesting to me is that 91% of marketing executives believe that successful brands use data to drive their marketing decisions. This means that people know that logical and rational marketing decisions are driven by data, by experiments, by A/B testing, and by a history of activities from leads and customers. On the other hand, very few marketers think that they're doing a good job with data collection or with analysis of that data. 57% of marketers don't base their marketing budget on any ROI analysis. That means that they're making marketing decisions based on their subjective gut feeling rather than experiments that show what works and what doesn't work. 39% of marketers say that their own company collects data too infrequently or too inconsistently. What this tells me is that marketers know that really successful companies use data, but they fear that they're not really keeping pace with the rest of the industry. So I'm here to tell you that you don't need to worry about feeling like you're behind within marketing technology because a lot of companies feel the same way. Marketing automation can help you get back on track, and it can help you demonstrate ROI for your marketing programs and get your digital marketing off to a good start. What is marketing automation? Marketing automation is technology that is used to track, prioritize, and analyze leads, customers, and accounts. Marketing automation consists of a number of different platforms, email marketing systems, marketing technology pieces, and other CRM systems that help you continue conversations across marketing channels and to hand off those relationships to sales teams. Marketing automation is a software tool that people use and business processes that go along with this software that help you collect data about your customers and your target markets and help you market specifically to individual customers rather than to general and broad categories. Marketing automation can be confusing. Now, just to look at this chart, the complexity is overwhelming in the marketing automation and marketing technology ecosystem. There are everything from sales enablement tools, event and webinar tools, search aids, video marketing tools, It's really, really hard to narrow down the types of vendors that you need for your marketing stack. The kind of marketing automation platforms that we're going to be talking about today are mostly in this center category. They're comprehensive marketing automation systems that tie together a number of different functions into one dashboard and have a few other features that marketers find useful. A lot of these other technology pieces are things that you can add on after you've developed your marketing automation strategy, but they're not really designed to be used piecemeal one at a time to develop something that might not last or might not use best practice. Here's the platforms by market share for these broader, comprehensive marketing automation systems. As you can see, HubSpot and Infusionsoft are the most popular platforms for small and mid-sized business, so they have really good market share, but most of the companies that use them are relatively small. On the other hand, in the enterprise space, Marketo, Eloqua, Pardot, some of these others, Unica, Acton, are all really, really big systems that do a whole lot for marketers. They have things like individual permission sets for different levels of marketing, the ability to have your marketing assets translated and localized for different regions, the ability to set up workspaces and kind of lead silos for your partners and people that you don't want having access to your general marketing database. These enterprise marketing systems, Marketo, Eloqua, Pardot, and others, are the systems that we're going to focus on in this webinar. We don't make individual vendor recommendations, but for the most part, these platforms have very similar features since they've been developed to satisfy basically the same marketing needs. What is marketing automation not? Marketing automation is not spam. Every time I talk to people about marketing automation, I can see them cringe when they think of getting spam emails in their inbox, getting irrelevant content messages, things that obviously, messages that marketers send out that don't really care about the person, but just care about volume. Marketing automation certainly makes it easier to send more emails and distribute more content to your customers, but it's really not designed to spam them. Marketing automation platforms are designed to prevent spam. They make it easier to send your customers relevant data that is targeted towards the customer's individual needs, so your communication actually has meaning. You're not just spitting content at them constantly. They help you manage your subscriptions, they help you manage things like opt-in status, and if you're based in Europe, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, or other countries with spam compliance laws, they help you timestamp the different subscription statuses of your leads. Marketing automation is not intelligent. Yeah, these software programs were designed by very, very smart people and very good engineers, but they weren't really designed to take the place of human marketers. Marketing automation is not about removing the human element from marketing. In much the same way that Microsoft Word never took the place of journalists or writers, marketing automation cannot be a substitute for content planning and strategy within your company. It's not a replacement for the people who manage your social media channels. It's not a replacement for the marketers that design your strategy and your programs. It's a tool that everybody in your entire organization can use to do their jobs more effectively. Marketing automation won't replace marketers entirely. It's not phasing out marketers to replace them with robots. It's not a tool that can start doing your job, but it can allow your company to target its content more carefully, and it lets you create the marketing use case and a budget for content marketing in your organization. Marketing automation is not easy. Sure, a lot of these software platforms are marketed that they can one click and you can send out content, you can edit content simply, visual editors, and it's true that marketing automation platforms make what used to be highly sophisticated technical tasks relatively simple. At the same time though, marketing automation systems are garbage in and garbage out. If what you put into the marketing automation system in your asset design, your program design, and your logic is not well planned and well set out, then that architecture is going to backfire. You're going to end up with a piece of very sophisticated software that you've just installed and you don't use. Marketing automation is not something that just stays in the background of your organization either. It takes real organizational change and workflow changes to make marketing automation successful. One thing that I don't think marketers realize when they go about a marketing automation initiative is how much buy-in this requires among salespeople. The sales team and the marketing team really need to sit down and decide what their goals are going to be for marketing. Otherwise, things like your revenue lifecycle just aren't going to make sense. Why should you care? Why should marketing automation be something that you use in your organization? First of all, marketing should be accountable. Marketers are measured on results. Marketing historically has been this cost center within organizations that uses very subjective terms and measurements to justify its existence. Back in these Mad Men days of marketing, marketers would say things like brand value and social reach, and that was kind of their measurement on how they were doing as a marketing team. Now, these things are great, and they're definitely part of marketing, but it's very hard to justify the existence of a marketing budget when the results that you're pointing to have no connection to the bottom line of your company. With marketing automation, your results can be evaluated against all of the other channels that are used to bring in revenue to your company. Think of your marketing department as competing with other marketing departments externally, but also with some of your internal departments. While you may have competitors that try to sell other products and services against you, you also have your sales team that is bypassing your marketing team with outbound calls and channels that don't involve your marketing team. As a marketer, you need to be able to show that your marketing department is bringing in revenue and is using your finite marketing budget in the most efficient way possible. If you want to be able to look your boss in the eye and tell them that you're using the money that your company has given you responsibly, a marketing automation system will set up the framework that you need for this revenue-based reporting. Secondly, marketing automation is strategic. With better reporting, you get access to better forecasts and a more competitive sales and marketing focus. Personally, I think marketing automation is a very aggressive way to attack the problems of marketing. What automation does is it gives you the ability to centralize all of your reporting so you get a dashboard that outputs data that you can use for real, logic-based business decisions. If in one quarter you realize that your trade shows aren't paying off and that you have other programs that are bringing in more revenue per money that you're putting into them, you can completely change your marketing focus. Most companies know that they need automation, but they just don't know how to implement that automation, and they're a little bit afraid that that automation is going to bring accountability to departments that previously didn't have it. Now, I know in organizations that I've previously worked in, there's been a lot of friction inside the marketing department when accountability is introduced, and I understand that. Somebody that's in charge of, for example, trade shows might worry that their trade shows don't show the same ROI and the same results as other programs within the marketing department, and that their budget will get cut. And this is a very real concern, and it's something that you're going to have to tread lightly on when you start to implement marketing automation. But you can also look at marketing automation as freeing up some of that budget for more efficient programs. So instead of spending time with things like traditional ads, trade shows, events, without knowing that they're working, you get a results-based way to make objective decisions based on your company's needs. And finally, marketing automation is making breakthroughs into industries that were previously unautomated. Obviously, these marketing automation platforms, same with CRM systems and other software as a service products, are basically produced by a series of companies in Silicon Valley, and they're sold by software teams. So the first customers of marketing automation systems and CRM systems were other software companies, and it's kind of developed along those lines, and so it follows their sales processes and uses their best practices. But as the industry has matured, other companies have started to use marketing automation systems and have started to bend them to what they need. One of the best examples that I have are consumer companies like Audi, BMW, and Sub-Zero that now use marketing automation for these long sales processes of luxury goods. Historically, consumer companies haven't used marketing automation at all because they don't have these outbound sales teams that can use the data very well. But now they're starting to use these to manage long customer life cycles and to make sure that their customers are happy for a long time. This is a really interesting chart. It shows the top reasons that people give for evaluating marketing automation software. As you can see at the top, the main reasons that companies break into marketing automation is because they know that they need to improve their lead management and they need to automate processes. This speaks to both the demand and the supply side of marketing automation. On the one hand, there's a demand for marketing teams to bring in more leads, bring in more marketing qualified leads, bring in more revenue for the sales departments. But on the other hand, there's a need to cut marketing budgets over time, or at least to use budgets more efficiently. This is really critical for startups and for companies that answer to investors, to boards, or to C-suites. Every quarter, to show that you need the budget that you had in a previous quarter, or to expand, you have to be able to give some kind of forecast. The amount of revenue you can bring in, the number of customers your marketing team has driven in, and this is what marketing automation allows you to do. And clearly, it's a really big need within the marketing community. In every phase of content marketing, marketing automation provides some kind of value. Here at Centerline, we do a lot of content marketing for clients, and I've identified these 5 phases of content marketing where marketing automation systems really add a lot of value. In the research phase, marketing automation systems give you the ability to do both customer and competitive research, connecting the qualitative research that you've already kind of come up with inside your department with quantitative insights. In the planning phase, you can prioritize your marketing efforts based on the results of previous campaigns. If I already know that one of my campaigns has had specifically high ROI, I might follow that campaign up with a campaign that has a similar topic or similar audience. At the same time, I can plan my campaigns based on other assets that I have, nurture campaigns that I need to fill out, or content reuse possibilities. Once I've developed a campaign and I've put the work into a marketing automation system to create the architecture behind it, it's really easy for me to clone that campaign, modify some of the assets, and then reuse it for a different audience. In the creation phase of content, this is where one of the biggest advantages of marketing automation platforms is. Instead of having to pass my asset creation back and forth between my IT department and my marketing department, I'm able to do everything within my own department, and I can use really advanced features like dynamic personalization and geo-targeting to create these massively scalable programs without all this additional manpower and need for support within tech services, information services, and my website team. For distribution and reporting, marketing automation kind of brings this post-conversion measurement that doesn't really exist outside of MA. Previously, marketers had access pretty much to Google Analytics. That was the extent of your ability to measure the success of a digital campaign. But a marketing automation system follows those converted leads long after they've converted in a CRM system and starts to tie dollar value of opportunities directly to the campaigns that brought those opportunities in. All right, anatomy of a marketing automation platform. So what really makes up a marketing automation platform? As I said earlier, we don't do vendor recommendations, although there's a few vendors that we've worked with more than others. But what we have found is that marketing automation systems have all coalesced into basically a framework that contains the same features and satisfies nearly the same requirements for marketers. One thing that's definitely true in the marketing automation space is that over time, marketing automation systems have become more complex. What started as a pretty simple tool that tied a CRM system to a web analytics platform has become something that now includes features like SEO tools, social listening tools. There's really everything that you need from a digital perspective as a marketer that you can find within one of these comprehensive marketing automation systems. Your preference for a vendor over another vendor is going to have a lot more to do with your other software needs than it will with that actual vendor's software. Common features of marketing automation platforms. Marketing automation platforms are feature-rich and training-poor. Because of this feature creep that has happened over the last 3 or 4 years and the relative newness of the industry, a lot of people haven't really figured out how to use marketing automation the most successfully. This is something that's abundantly clear from the chart here on the left. Email automation is still the most commonly utilized marketing automation feature, even though it's the simplest feature, and it's the one that doesn't provide the most additional value over platforms that already existed on the market. A lot of teams will implement a marketing automation system, but because of the difficulty of setting up the architecture, the lead management, the scoring, they pretty much only use their marketing automation platform as a glorified email campaign manager. To get the most out of your marketing automation system, you need to invest in training, processes, and other technologies that help you use things like web triggers, APIs, complex workflows, analytics, and data management. The first feature that marketing automation systems usually have is a single dashboard. I call this the one-stop shop for marketing. A single dashboard is a place that your marketing team can go to create, manage, and analyze your marketing programs from one location. This one right here on the right, this is Marketo, but it's similar across most of the other platforms that I've used. Pretty much, in a marketing team, you can divide the responsibilities based on permissions that you want to give them in your marketing automation platform. Someone on your team might have access to the social tools, another person might have access to the design studio to create templates, websites, and landing pages, and another person might have access to analytics, say if they have to provide sales reports to your operational staff. A comprehensive marketing platform should tie together your offline and your online marketing channels. Reports that you get out of this single dashboard should be reports for your entire marketing organization, not just for programs that you're running on your website. Marketing automation systems should also share a database with your CRM system, so you don't need to switch back and forth to manage things like lead scoring, nurture programs, etc. There are a lot of programs in a marketing automation system that you want your sales team to have access to, whether it's nurture emails, templated sales alerts, or maybe even offers that your sales team can send out, personalized offers. Your sales team needs to be able to send those, so there needs to be a two-way integration with your marketing automation system. As for email automation is the most used marketing automation feature, and it is really useful, and it's something that you'll definitely use once you implement an automation platform. This is generally the selling point in a lot of organizations. Organizations get large enough and they send enough emails where the pricing of their email management system, which when they're starting out is usually on a per email basis, becomes more expensive than a comparable marketing automation system given the number of contacts that they have. So people usually switch from email management to marketing automation from a price perspective. But once they're in marketing automation, there's just so much that they can do that they wouldn't have been able to do prior. For example, in a marketing automation system, there are three basic types of emails that you can send out. The first type, transactional emails, have the highest open rates, the highest click rates, and it's pretty clear because they're sent out automatically when a visitor has taken a certain action. When a visitor has made an order, has filled out a form to download a white paper, these are emails that are sent one at a time, and they're sent based on a very specific trigger, so they have a high engagement rate. Secondly, there are batch emails. These are the emails you're probably already sending out in your organization. They might be newsletters, monthly announcements, special promotions, but they're basically one-time emails that are sent to a large segment of your database based on some kind of criteria. So you might be segmenting these emails by industry, you might be segmenting them by opt-in and opt-out of your newsletter list, but either way, you're sending to more than one person at a time, and there's a limited amount of personalization that goes into these emails. Finally, and specific to marketing automation systems, there are nurturing emails. Nurture emails are sent at time intervals, and they guide leads and customers through a customized content experience. These are designed to keep these customers interested in your company over a long period of time. For companies that have really long sales cycles, you're not selling to your leads immediately. You might have to keep them in your database for 6 months or even more while they get the budget and talk to your sales team and make a decision. Nurture emails are what you send to people to keep them interested in your company, to keep your brand in their mind, and also to get them into other products, things that they're interested in, and they guide people on a customized journey based on lead history that you put into your marketing automation system. And finally, here's a note that I have at the bottom. Marketing automation systems can improve your CAN-SPAM compliance and your compliance with European opt-in laws. This is getting really important, and for American companies, 2016 is going to be the last year that you have to comply with Canada and Europe's opt-in laws, and marketers can be held both personally and professionally responsible for spam. What a marketing automation system lets you do is manage a permanent subscription record for a lead. Instead of just deleting somebody from your database, you're assigning them an opt-in or an opt-out, and you're keeping them forever. So you'll know if they come back in, if they fill out another form, you'll be able to track the subscription status, timestamp it, and use that to show that you've complied with their requests. Campaign management. Marketing automation systems provide a visual representation of the way that your assets and your campaigns tie together. When you do something like a trade show, it's more than just one program. You're designing this program that uses dozens and dozens of different assets and ties together with virtually every other part of your marketing department. You're using multiple channels, and you're building this one cohesive unit to bring a lead and give them an experience. In a marketing automation platform, instead of planning just the trade show, you plan all of these units, and you save a template so you can create variants on them in the future. When I plan this one trade show, and I've represented it here with a flowchart, I'm able to save this template, including the operationals, the lead scoring, the qualifications, and next time I have a trade show, it'll only take me a fraction of the time to plan that trade show and develop the assets. My landing pages, all of my emails, my alerts, those will already exist. All I have to do is modify the content. Reporting. For me, this is the most interesting part of marketing automation. Marketing automation gives you the ability to tie together data that you've collected from your web analytics system. This is anonymous audience data, stuff like your search terms, landing pages, web traffic, to data that you already have in your CRM system. This is customer data, pipeline, dollar value. So this area in the middle used to be a mystery for marketers. How do you take somebody from a visitor in your website to a customer and show how marketing influenced the journey in between? For a lot of marketing departments, this is still a black hole. This is the number one reason why I think marketing automation is kind of the way of the future for a marketing team. Marketing automation systems let you see things like your net new leads, your marketing qualified rates, your recycle rates, but they also give you very high level revenue specific information. The ROI of your marketing campaigns, the marketing sourced pipeline, the ability of your marketing department to accelerate the sales pipeline process, and customer retention information. How much was your marketing department able to upsell your existing customers? How satisfied are your customers based on their marketing experience? This is all stuff that you can report upwards in your marketing department and demonstrate a great deal of value. Reporting ties nicely into this idea of forecasting. Since you're able to pull this information from your CRM systems, the reports that you have are much more sophisticated. In this table, imagine that all you had was your web analytics system. So you're using the reports that you're able to get right now. You have a trade show, a webinar, a couple ad campaigns, and a content campaign like a white paper download. How right now would you measure the success of those campaigns in your organization? I'm willing to bet that you have some way of measuring the number of people who have come in through your campaign, as well as the number of people that your sales team deems are roughly qualified. So you have a new names number and a marketing qualified lead number. If those were the only numbers that you had, that trade show seems like it's a really, really good campaign. 525 new names, 110 MQLs, you would probably spend money on another trade show next year. But with a marketing automation system, you're able to follow these leads that have come in through each program until after they've become a customer. You know how much pipeline they added to your sales process, and you also know how much revenue you won. So you can look at campaigns from a revenue perspective instead of just a lead perspective. With that perspective, you can see that the webinar is actually the most effective campaign, bringing in $85,000 in revenue and a really high qualification rate. So if I was a marketer now, I would say, well, forget the trade shows, we're spending a ton of money and we're not winning a lot of this revenue. Let's invest more heavily in webinars. The second type of report that you can pull that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to show is an influence report. This is called different things in different automation platforms. It might be a marketing influence report, a multi-touch revenue report, but all of them are designed to show where in a lead's journey to being a customer did the marketing team have some kind of influence. So no matter how a lead entered your database, how are they interacting with your marketing programs, your newsletters, your social channels, your videos, and how is that content accelerating their process to becoming a customer? A large enterprise company, when they come into your database, might have as many as 10 or 15 different leads that your sales team's talking to all at once. So how do you know with a report that things like your newsletter are actually affecting the deal and are helping your sales team close that customer and convert an account? With an influence report or a multi-touch revenue report, marketing gets credit for their role in influencing a deal by splitting the dollar value of the opportunity among all of the different successful channels that the leads have participated in. Lead scoring is the most critical part of marketing automation. Only a small fraction of the companies that use marketing automation systems use lead scoring as effectively as they should, but lead scoring is where you really start to automate some of the processes that you've had to do manually in your own organization. Right now, how do you decide which leads get sent to sales teams? I found without marketing automation systems, there are two basic ways that people use to decide which leads they send to sales. Way number one is with a subjective criteria. It's basically the marketing team going through the leads that they've generated that day and saying, well, this one's good, this one's bad, this one's good, this one's bad. They're making a judgment based on their view of that lead and what they've heard from sales is looking for. The other criteria is just to send everybody to sales. It's to say if anybody filled out a contact form or if anybody downloaded some content, they're automatically a sales target. Neither of these ways are good. Way number one, you're putting an enormous burden on your marketing team, and your marketing team's not really designed to decide who's a good sales target and who's not. In way number two, that burden's just being shifted to the sales team, and after getting garbage lead after garbage lead, they're going to stop following up on the marketing team's leads. You need a compromise, somewhere in the middle where the sales team can help your marketing team determine what criteria to look for, and you automate that process in the background, and that's where lead scoring comes in. Here I've given just a few of the different criteria that I would use and some score examples. Scoring is basically just going to be set up however your sales team wants it and however they've decided that their archetypical perfect lead is. And when people meet a scoring threshold, you just advance them to a marketing qualified lead and pass them to the sales team. I would give positive scores for things like activity on my website, registration for a product demo, or a job title, company name that matched a list of targets, and that's demographic data. On the other hand, I might give negative scores for things like a fake email address, if they visited an employment page, if they haven't visited my site in a long time, and leads that never meet that scoring threshold never get past my sales department. What they're telling me is that they're not really interested in my product, or they don't match my target for a sales team. The revenue cycle. No conversation about a marketing automation system would be complete without this fundamental underlying concept of a revenue cycle. A revenue cycle model is the component that makes a marketing automation engine work. It's a linear path that individuals follow from the time that they visit your website to the time they eventually become customers. In between all of these different stages are gates that you use a marketing automation system to let people pass through. You measure each gate, and that's how, as a marketing team, you measure the performance of your team and the performance of campaigns. So this is a revenue cycle model that I've used in the past, and it's a pretty simple way of visualizing your customers and your leads. In this very first stage, on the far left, you have awareness. Someone that's aware of your company has maybe visited your website, they've seen one of your advertisements, but they haven't really interacted with your content. Your influence on this lead is one way. You're pushing them content, but they haven't responded in any meaningful way, and they haven't given you things like their name or their interest in which product. A marketing automation system still gives you the ability to measure some of this data, traffic, landing page reports, display ad impressions, but what you're really concerned about is this gate between awareness and friend. In the next stage, this anonymous lead has moved from aware to friend based on a scoring threshold. They've taken an action on your website, so not only do they know who you are, but now they've developed a relationship with you. Their score has increased incrementally, and they've started to consume some of your content. They might have advanced because they've watched an entire video, because they've read a white paper, or because they browsed your website for a long period of time, but these are the people for whom you will start to draw your eventual lead base. In the next stage, you have names. Named leads are people who have traded their contact information for some type of content on your website. This can also be offline content as well. These could be people who visited a booth at a trade show and gave you their cards in exchange for a contest. They could be people who filled out a form to download your gated content. Maybe they registered for a webinar, or they're part of an audience who you purchased a list from in a list brokerage. Names are people who have entered into your marketing database, and they're this first step in the marketing journey. For a lot of marketers, though, this is where measurement ends. I know plenty of companies where the entire marketing team is judged based on the number of names that they're able to provide in the database. But a name doesn't really mean anything past an entry into the database. It's not a sales target. It's not someone that said that they're interested in your product, and it's certainly not somebody that fits your definition of what it means to be a customer. On the other hand, after the name phase is the engaged phase. The engaged phase moves based on interactions with your content. So this is someone that's not only in your database, but they've also done something to warrant your attention. So I like to look at this as the difference between a list that you've purchased and a list of people that have actually come to your website and have started to interact and download content. This is how you know that it's a kind of a hot lead, that this is somebody who is actively looking for a product and is somebody that you might want to reach out to. But you don't necessarily want to pass these people all to sales because you don't know if they fit your target of what it means to be a lead. What if they don't have a budget, or they don't represent a real company, or they're not even an industry or country that you sell to? This is where you start to use things like demographic data to filter out your engaged leads and determine what criteria you use for MQL scoring. In the next phase, your marketing qualified lead phase, people have passed from engaged to MQL based on this scoring criteria that you've laid out before. So this is criteria that you've developed with your sales team, with your marketing team, and it includes both the demographic and behavioral components. This is where you start to prepare for your sales handoff. This is how you measure your status as a marketing team and how much you've contributed with that campaign to the eventual sales targets. A sales accepted lead, on the other hand, is a marketing qualified lead that has gone to the sales team, has been contacted at least once and that sales has decided that they want to continue to follow up with. Sales doesn't follow up on every MQL that gets passed from the marketing team. And the marketing team can't know some of this subjective information, like whether or not a budget exists, or whether they're in the right buying cycle, or whether they're already using a competitor, without sales reaching out at least once. A sales accepted lead is a lead that the sales team has said, all right, marketing, this lead is good, it fits the criteria, and we're going to continue to follow up on it. And then, if that lead continues to be followed up on, it develops an opportunity. An opportunity has a dollar value attached somewhere. This is the sales team saying that the lead is really good and a deal might eventually exist. So this is somebody we're going to try to follow up on and we're going to try to close. Marketing teams can measure information like pipeline value from opportunities, and this is where the measurement from marketing automation systems gets really sophisticated. If you have a $50,000 opportunity, for example, that's associated with a certain lead, you can track that $50,000 back to the program, the campaign that brought that lead in. So a marketer can say, were it not for my program, this $50,000 of potential revenue would not exist in our sales team. And that's where reports like the Marketing Influence Report and the Marketing Sourced Revenue Report are so valuable. Marketing automation systems also allow you to do something with all these leads that get passed away from sales that they don't really want to follow up on right now. Instead of ignoring these leads, which might be as many as 80% of the leads that you pass to your sales team, these leads get funneled back into your content flow. They get retargeting, they get different nurture campaigns. If a sales team, for example, disqualifies a lead temporarily because the lead doesn't have a budget, without a marketing automation system, the temptation is just to delete that record and never contact them again. But with a marketing automation system, I would pass them into a nurture campaign that is designed to help people find a budget and help people realize the ROI or the low cost of ownership of the product in question. A recycling campaign continues to go on until the score has incremented enough where the person is funneled back into the sales process. Your customers are your cheapest area to increase revenue as a marketer. These are people who have already demonstrated that they like your product, they like your company and your service, and they've already become familiar with your brand and with your content. So a marketer can use their customers to create other content that helps upsell these customers or helps keep them on the product and service so they keep paying these subscriptions and keep on bringing in revenue. Marketers can measure things like customer engagement, they can measure onboarding programs, upselling, and they can do really sophisticated things with marketing automation systems, like looking for changes to the job titles of key contacts. One thing I used to do in a previous company, we automatically looked for a change in job title for contacts that were really important to certain opportunities. So if a guy worked as the CMO of a company and he was the one that really brought a deal in and helped close the deal, and he left that company, our salespeople would get alerts that said, John Doe has left his position as CMO of X company, and we knew that we needed to proactively call that company and find a new point of contact so we didn't lose that deal just by inaction. Here's another example of a revenue cycle model that I've thrown in just to show that your revenue cycle model might be a little bit different than mine. Depending on what kind of company you're in and how you want to measure your leads and how they progress through this lead flow and become different stages, you might have different phases in your revenue cycle model, but they're all going to be about the same. You're going to have a linear structure, so they pass from stage to stage, and every consecutive stage gets smaller. You have a certain percentage of people that pass from stage to stage, and that percentage is your conversion rate between each stage in your revenue cycle model. So now we're going to get into the meat of what you can do with a marketing automation platform. The first thing you can do with a marketing automation system is increase your content volume. When I say increasing volume, I don't just mean that you can send leads more emails and send them more content, because that starts to blur this line between marketing automation and spam. What I really mean is that you'll have more options for content that you use. Marketing automation systems make it easier and faster to create landing pages, content, videos, emails, and that means that you get to personalize all of the content that you send out to your leads. You get to really respond to current trending topics, to events, to new products, and your content gets to have more relevance because you have more options of tracks that you can put people in. More content doesn't mean that each lead sees more content. It just means that you have more content that you can send out optionally or that people can opt into. Increasing your content quantity gives you the ability to segment your content better, and it reduces your reliance on these generic newsletter blasts as a quick alternative to in-depth research. One of the ways that marketing automation platforms and other marketing technology helps you send out more content and increase your content volume is by reducing the complexity required to build this content. When I first started in marketing, and I was a marketing specialist, digital marketing basically required two sets of skills. Marketers had to have a technical background, so HTML, CSS, the knowledge of email servers, but they also had to have the ability to create the engaging content, to write content, and to interact on social channels. It was really, really rare that you would hire somebody that had both of these skills and would be able to use them both 100% effectively. So what marketing teams really ended up with was a marketing team that was really good at creating content, but really bad at implementing that content in a very technically advanced way. And that was fine because these marketers had access to an IT support department. So every content program that I developed and that most marketers developed ping-ponged between marketing and IT until eventually it got put up on the website or they set up the email servers correctly. And even then, we would have to submit tickets to make sure we got things like our leads and our analytics reports. It's really hard to react to an event in real time or to create agile marketing programs when there's 5 or 6 different people that have to sign off on every single asset that you produce. Agile content marketing is just impossible this way, and marketing automation systems really help you reduce this complexity. Instead of having dozens and dozens of different software programs and programming languages that people need to know in order to send out content, you've now solidified this one platform that does everything in a very visual, very easy to understand way. A marketing automation system gives marketing departments the ability to control their own content and their own programs. With editors and templates and other simple tools, content marketers are able to send out the content that they produce instead of having to bounce it back for approval with the people that manage things like websites and servers. Most of this content, landing pages and emails in particular, actually live outside of this server ecosystem within a company, so you don't have the same security requirements and no one's freaking out when you use third-party plugins, and there's not as much bureaucracy and red tape for your marketing department, and that benefits you in increasing the amount of volume that you're able to put out. By keeping the content creation and implementation process within marketing, you speed up content creation, you increase your content volume, and your content just gets better because you're able to respond in real time to what your customers are saying. With an increase in your content volume, you're also able to increase your content relevance. This is a really neat chart on the right. This is from Marketo, and it's based on reports of thousands and thousands and thousands of different clients that send emails through their system. What Marketo found is that emails that were delivered to a small number of people at a time had a much higher engagement score. They were opened more, they were clicked more, and the emails performed better than emails that were sent to large audiences, like newsletters and whole database blasts. As much as 23% of email performance is explainable by the size of the total audience for the message. What that means is that a triggered email, so an email that's sent to one person at a time based on a criteria that you've set, performs almost 8 times better than a batch email sent out to your entire database. And logically, this follows. This is a message that you spoke. If you communicated a message verbally with one person, that message is going to be more relevant than if you communicated a message with a loudspeaker to an entire audience. Before marketing automation systems, this was as segmented as your database could get, so-called loose segmentation. So say I wanted to create a newsletter, and I wanted to make that newsletter relatively relevant for all of the people in my database. I know that I have 3 main industries in my database, so I write 3 different emails, one for each industry, and this fourth group, people that I don't have industry data on, get a default email. So this email is going to be kind of personalized. It's going to speak to the industry that I think they're in, but it's not going to speak to stuff like their job title or their budget or their region. There's just so much more information that I could be putting in these emails, but I'm not. With a marketing automation system, though, you can become much more detailed without a lot of additional writing work. So a marketing automation system can generate sections of your email that each respond to a different lead history field. So if a lead's in a different industry, section 1 changes. So maybe the people in the mining industry get one section, people that are in retail get another section, people in banking get another section. And then section 2 is based on job title. So directors get one section, managers get another, CMO, CEO level people get another, and then section 3 could be budget. So people that have a budget or don't have a budget, or depending on the size of their budget, will get different calls to action to different products and will get a different message than people who had a different budget. What this ultimately creates is banded emails that have multiple different variants and permutations that speak directly to individual or to small, tiny groups of leads. My tight segmentation process gives me more relevant content without a great deal of additional work on my part. Instead of the 3 totally different emails I had to create before, now I have to create the equivalent of about 4, but in smaller sections. Conclusion. Some of the key takeaways that I want to give you with this webinar is that marketing automation is a key component of modern B2B and B2C marketing. This isn't something that's going anywhere. Marketing automation isn't going to go away. It's not something that's used by only a tiny niche of the marketing world. It's something that can benefit your company pretty much no matter what your customers are. You can incorporate automation, analytics, and technology in some way to reduce your marketing sales friction internally and to improve your ability to give your customers a good experience. But what I really want to also leave you with is that marketing automation needs organizational change to be successful. Yes, this is a software tool. At the end of the day, marketing automation is something that pretty much lives on the cloud that you log into through your browser, but it's something that you have to incorporate into every level of your organization. If you're not using stuff like lead scoring and you're not setting up your revenue cycle process with your sales team, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of marketing automation features. Marketing automation needs that internal buy-in to be successful. And once you get these reports that have been with all your standardized data and all the reports that your salespeople need, you'll see how effective marketing automation is at driving these goals. So thanks a lot for attending this webinar. I have a few questions that people have sent me before the webinar started, and I'll go ahead and take any other questions that you have. Just go ahead and type them in the chat box at the bottom. Okay, it looks like the first question, how much do marketing automation systems usually cost? Well, that's a good question, and that's definitely kind of first on the mind of a lot of people looking at vendors. Luckily, most marketing automation vendors are very transparent with their pricing. You'll be able to find pricing that's on their website, and it varies depending on the number of contacts in your database. To give you just a general example, some of these enterprise platforms like we talked about, Pardot, Marketo, Eloqua, are going to range from about $2,200 to $2,400 for an enterprise level company with between 100,000 and 150,000 contacts. Okay, the second question, do I need to know how to code in order to use marketing automation? No, you don't, not personally. It does help if one of the designers on your staff or someone that you have access to knows HTML and CSS. Marketing automation systems are going to give you templates that you can use to create landing pages and emails, but it really helps if you have someone that can create these customized templates with your own brand guidelines and can make these templates editable so you can just edit the content later. One of the really cool things about marketing automation systems, all this work that you do, this technical upfront work to set it up, will last pretty much forever. You'll be able to clone all these templates and all these emails and use them again and again, so you don't have to continue to bring in designers and developers to work on your projects. All right, that does it for the questions. Thank you guys for attending this webinar. We'll be sending out the slides for this webinar and a recorded video within a couple days, and we'll send you an email if you've attended the webinar when it's time to download those. This has been Rob Gurley with Centerline Digital. Thank you so much.